Travis Wayne Goodsell. 1 Nephi, chapter 1, verse 2, says the Book of Mormon is in the learning of the Jews. So therefore, every single reader must learn what the learning of the Jews is, or not, when they're going through it, impose some other religion upon the book. Because the Book of Mormon will teach you what the learning of the Jews is. It has seership with visions and dreams. It has prophecies. Because a seer is a prophet, predictions of the future, and a revelator, day and hours. So 2 Nephi chapter 25 verse 1, Nephi says he's writing like Isaiah in the spirit of prophecy. Mormon chapter 8 verse 33 says that the Book of Mormon has revelations, times, days and hours. Prophecy and revelation. Joseph Smith confirms this for us in his introduction. Book of Mormon is written by way of prophecy and revelation. And so what you don't do then is put in literal history. What you don't do then is put in chronological order of literal history. What you don't do then is put Jesus of the first creed of Christianity, which turned the Jewish scriptures, they call the Bible, into chronological order of literal history. Nothing of the Jews is literal history to be put in chronological order. Not complicated, very plain, pure, and precious. And so the Book of Mormon starts us off in the first year of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah. Now, we're not supposed to use chronological order. This is not literal history. But you do need to know literal history and the dates of the literal history being used by the Jewish authors to understand the prophecy and revelation. That is the day and the hour in the form of a year. And the prophecy has to do with a new king on the throne. And I fixed this. And then I'm sinking. What's going on? And so you need to know that the literal history event occurred in 597 BCE, before Common Era. Do not put before Christ. That would be a boo-boo. It is wrong. Get Christianity out of science. They do not belong. And so, we need to find out this first year. But first, knowing that it's 597 BCE, as you keep reading the Book of Mormon, you learn that Lehi is told to leave Jerusalem in a dream, as he is a seer. And that's what's called an exodus. Lehi's exodus. And it's supposedly 600 years before the coming of the Messiah. So it can't be Jesus in 1 CE. So something else is going on here. But Jerusalem was destroyed. The Book of Mormon talks about having visions of the destruction of Jerusalem. So we go to 2 Nephi chapter 1. I just did it in a video for you. There it is, verse 4. For behold, said Lehi, right? Finished, yeah, make an end of the teaching of my father Lehi. Behold, said Lehi, I have seen a vision. I have dreamed a dream. I have revealed a revelation. I have translated a translation, in which I know that Jerusalem is destroyed. Had we remained in Jerusalem, we should have perished. This event occurred 11 years earlier, or later. So there's an 11-year time period that is involved in the Book of Mormon. The first year and the last year. First year is 597 BCE. The last year is 586 BCE. And it was on 9/11, 9th Av. Av is the 11th month. 9 is the day. It was the same day when Rome would destroy the Jerusalem temple. So thus it's significant. Even though it's day first, then month, you also need to understand that in our calendar, we have September, October, November, December for the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th months. Because a pope was stupid. Pope Gregory. For the Gregorian calendar. Originally, it was Septem, Octem, Novem, Decem for the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th months. Instead of 9. And so, yes, for our 9/11, we understand it as the 9th month, 11th day. But in the Jewish understanding, the 5 books of Jewish authors who claim to use... Where do I find you? Where do I find you? Is this it? No. That was my original Final Four events, though. I have upgraded them. This would be the one with Alma, right? Yeah. And I did the Alma 16 video for you. So the book of Genesis, the author uses month first, then day. In Exodus, the author uses day first, then month. Leviticus uses month first, then day. They're switching off. Sure enough, Numbers, day first, then month. And then the law of the Jews, to finish it up, which is defined literally as, in translation, repetition of the law. Deuteronomy. is month first, then day. And so 9 would be the month, 11 would be the day. But 9th Av is different in that it is the 9th month of the civil calendar, right? You all know that, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes. But remember, that's only because of Pope Gregory. September is the 7th month, which then would be Nisan in the Jewish calendar for the civil year. Got to keep up on this. You got to know all this if you're going to interpret the Book of Mormon correctly and the learning of the Jews. And especially for this video, for which I am doing. Which is really cool. Okay? And so now there's some confusion, though. Because as there's 11 years from when Zedekiah takes over to the destruction of Jerusalem. They then tell us in verses 8 through 10 that the year is not 11 years before the destruction of Jerusalem. That the date with the year is the 23rd of September 2017. The year that all Jews talk about in their different way. And so here the Book of Mormon, following the law of the Jews and the tradition with the learning of the Jews, likewise starts us off in the Book of Mormon with the big date of the latter days, 2017. The last year of the latter days is 2024. Revelation 19, 11 and 17. The big show. Emmanuel is Amen, the Egyptian sun god at noonday. His sign are solar eclipses. And the sign of his death is the solar eclipse that occurred on the 9th of April, 2024. 20 years later, from 600 years from the time Lehi left Jerusalem, in 8 April 4 CE, the sign of the Christ. Over Russia, in Aries, with Mercury, the messenger. Abraham sacrificing Isaac in the learning of the Jews. Prophecy and revelation, used in the Book of Mormon as well. Because of 600 years being the Exodus of Lehi. Very brilliantly written. Because there's an enemy threat who want to find who's making this book and murder them and destroy and burn the Book of Mormon so that we don't get it as Mormons. Because Joseph Smith became Messiah ben Joseph to prepare the way for the Mormon, human, mortal, who would be Messiah ben David of the Jews. What the Book of Mormon is talking about. What Joseph Smith is talking about. And guess what, Mormons? He's not Jesus. We're not Christian. You botched it, trusting in false prophets with a false idol god, Christ. You were warned not to do that, and you did it anyway. Matthew 24. There shall be false prophets and false Christs who will try to deceive Mormons, the elect. You got deceived. Sucks to be you now, because you're about to be murdered because of the Judas price that was paid for your death by the false prophets to Islamic terrorists. So if 2017 is the starting date for the latter days, Zedekiah is Trump. But if you go back 11 years from 2025, because we got to include this year because of 3 Nephi chapter 7. You get 2014. And technically you could go into 13. I do have that Egyptian calendar too, just in case. But yeah, we're finishing up here, in case you didn't catch on. The last year is over and done with. We're finishing things up. This is the final month of the Jewish religious calendar. We better not be going to Feast of Tabernacles this year. It needs to finish. I'm getting... It's been too long. Finish it. Come on, Trump. Do what you were put in to do. Quit fooling around. Okay, so 2014 is what we're going over today, so that you can understand the prophecies with the likeness of things on the earth and revelation dates. So, in case you've never watched any of my videos and have never read the Joseph Smith translation for Revelation chapter 12, verse 1, it says, signs in the heavens and the likeness of things on the earth. When you throw in prophecy of the Jews as well, you get prophecy and revelation in the likeness of things on the earth. Because prophecy includes dreams and visions and stories using historical context but not literal history. Like Zedekiah, Lehi. Lehi's not real, did not exist. Zedekiah, real, but not in the context of the story, but it's only mentioned. He's not a part of the characters in the story. It's used for the time frame for you. And so what is fascinating, before we get to this, is that it is 2025 because of the calendar. So from 2014 to 2025, or 2025, the 7th month, not the 9th, is Nisan for Passover. And Passover is the Exodus. Even though it was 2020, Lehi's Exodus 2020, the enemy did not do it in 2020. So they're repeating it for 2024 and 2025. We know that the enemy is doing it this way on purpose because President Dallin H. Oaks got leaked by a little sister missionary, exposing him as the enemy, the puppet master, to destroy the United States of America, and gave as his date the 2nd of January, the 20th of April, the 22nd of Nisan. Now that's not 9/11, but Joseph Smith plays a big part in this. Which we got to get to before we go over 2014. And so it's 7/22 for Easter, which Pope Gregory botched and made it 9/22, September 22nd. But it's in the religious or the civil calendar, not the religious calendar. And so Easter is the day after the 8-day week of Passover, which the evening of the 11th is the first day. Even though they have the 12th highlighted as the yellow for 8 days, the 12th technically starts in the evening, and they don't have that habit of doing it with all of them, because like Tabernacles, for example, it starts on the 6th in the evening, so that the 7th is the first day. But here they're showing 13th is highlighted bolder than the rest of the week, and the 12th is lightly covered. And that's because the 12th is the Sabbath day, and that's why there's a distinctive difference here. Don't ask me, it's the Jews. But 7/11 at 6 p.m. starts off Passover this year. Okay? So understand that. 9/11, 9th Ave, in the religious calendar of the Jews. What have you done, Oaks? What have you done? So yes, this is fascinating. Even though 2017 is the first year of Zedekiah, the 11 years time period goes back to 2014 and ends on 9/11. Let's keep that up just in case. So now we can go to Joseph Smith, because this is important when we're going to talk about 2014. Bum, 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 bum. All right, so verse 29 of the second vision, which is the exact same pattern match for Lehi's second vision, in which he sees 23rd September 2017, for which Lehi gets a book, Joseph gets a book. Joseph has a Urim and Thummim. Lehi has visions and dreams of the date. Yeah. This is what you're supposed to be catching on to in the learning of the Jews. So many tie-ins so that every Jew would know. And so, the 21st evening, I'm going to read it to you as it says here rather than botching it. In consequence of these things, I often felt condemned for my weakness and imperfections. When on the evening, remember, 6 p.m. is the next day for the Jews. Joseph Smith is in the learning of the Jews. It's not the 21st of September. It's the 22nd using the Jewish calendar. But we'd then have to go back to the 21st and correspond with the actual day in the Jewish calendar, but just understand it's the next day for the Jews. And I do have that. We can quickly reference that, right? Right. Calendars. Hebrew calendars. 2023. Have it twice. Okay. So the 21st night of, or the evening of the 21st is the 16th of Tishri. So it's the 7th religious month. But the 11th was the day after. That's the feast of, or no, that's the atonement. Yeah. Feast of Gedalia is the 3rd. The blue. So Joseph Smith is right here during the Feast of Tabernacles, the other Exodus of the Jews. So Nisan Passover is 9/11 of the Jews in the civil calendar, and Septem for Tabernacles is for the religious calendar. Can be kind of confusing. You need to know your Jewish calendar, holy days, and holy days. And so he's getting this vision of the 23rd of September 2017 in 2020 or 22nd or 21st in the evening, September 1823. Okay? So many numbers. Let's get us back to where the scripture is. Okay? And he sees Amun, the Egyptian sun god, at noonday. I discovered a light appearing in my room, which continued to increase until the room was lighter than at noonday. Hey, the same person who appeared to Lehi in his dream and gave him a book. See the pattern match? Supposed to catch on. So, Joseph Smith at his bedside, hint, hint, wearing white, not blue, hint, hint. It's scheduled for, yeah, I guess it was put last, so it'll be tomorrow, I think it's tomorrow. I think I put it at the top of the pile. I just took it out. Okay? Catching on? Going over a book, the Book of Mormon. Talking about the warning of destruction of the latter days. Catching on yet? All right? And so he is repeated. Nephi, not Moroni, comes to Joseph Smith 4 times that evening on the 22nd. Okay? And then for the next 4 years, he visits him on the same day. 2 sets, 4 times. Vitally important to catch on to, as I've come to learn. Because there's 2 sets of 4 times in the latter days, plus the date that I just gave you, the 7th month, 22nd day in the Jewish calendar for Easter, when Jerusalem is destroyed, when oaks said, "We will all be murdered, but only the righteous will be raised from the ash to the celestial glory." And nobody's upset with this, huh? I'm gonna die for Jesus, Mommy. What? What are they teaching you in primary? President Oaks. Okay, great. An abominable church. Because they're not Jewish. That's your big clue. And so now, to introduce 2014, we got to go all the way back to 2008. When, having deciphered Paleo-Hebrew and being abused and threatened, and people lying in wait and plotting behind my back from all different sources, I needed to find some way to protect myself. And so, using the United States Constitution, the First Amendment, to petition for a redress of grievances. Not in the state of Utah, you don't. The case, and I'm not a lawyer, you need to understand that. People who are not lawyers get abused in this nation because they're not lawyers. They don't know how to work the judicial system. They don't know how to petition the government for a redress of grievances. We are at a very big disadvantage if we cannot afford a representative lawyer for us. And so criminals take advantage of people who are poor because of this. But nonetheless, I did what I could based on the Constitution and filed a suit against the church, as they are the ones responsible for everybody else attacking me. I did not know yet that it was the leaders of the church that were directly ordering everybody and paying for success or punishing for failure yet. And so I just needed people to back off and leave me alone. And so I filed with the governor, and the governor also had the Attorney General office there at the Capitol, and to the state courthouse, as well as the federal. They didn't care to acknowledge that one. And also to the church, because I know I needed to serve the church. And so what happened is that they plotted against me. They knew who I was from the petition. And it was their intention to have me locked up indefinitely. They removed me from society and sent me to the black site here in Utah. Yeah. In the United States, there are black sites, not just around the world. So when Trump was talking about moving illegals to black sites, once Guantanamo gets all filled up, and they were also talking about tent camps, opening up concentration camps. Hey, we got one here in Utah from World War II. Isn't that interesting? All we need to do is open it up and it's ready to go. There's also a black site here in Utah, used exclusively by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And that was their whole intention. I was never to see a day in court. I was never to be tried, never to be convicted, because they would lose. They had no case. They violated every single law on the books, not just the Constitution, which I quoted. And I would find out that the church had ordered Mark Shurtleff to make sure this happens. So my case is sealed. I still know the number. I still have shown you the photos. Their intention was to have me disappeared, locked up, tortured at the black site. And yes, the tortures that are done at black sites were done here at this black site. And thus, I was to die a slow, painful death with the torture. And that's why the picture that I showed you previously, whether or not it gets put in this video, I don't know, of me in the emergency room. That was the consequence of the 15 under Monson in 2008. And so I've done the video of those who have left to die for what they did to me from the curse of Joseph Smith. Right, Nelson and Oaks in Holland, and Irene, and I think it goes down to Anderson. I think. I'd have to check. Doesn't matter. And so for 6 years I am being tortured. After a brief stay with Brian David Mitchell, Curtis Allgaier, Easy, some of the best that Utah has to offer of society. But that was only because I escaped from the Salt Lake County jail's indefinite incarceration, where I'm denied all rights. That they weren't going to assign me a lawyer in the first place. They were just going to lock me down in the dungeon of the Salt Lake County Jail, and that would be the rest of my home for the rest of my life. Never to see the light of day, never to shower, never to have hygiene, never to have clothing, on a metal bed with air conditioning, fully functioning in only that part of the jail, nowhere else. I was tortured in the Salt Lake County Jail because Shurtleff, in order to do this, had to make an accusation against me that would justify it. So he said terrorist for a petition for redress of grievances. And it was 3 counts. And the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was considered a government agency. And so in this black site, you get a whole bunch of different people there. And if some of the people that I've gone over with you over the years who have just disappeared from society being accused of child porn and then are never heard of again, if they're not in the black site, they're in the Salt Lake County Jail in that area, still to this day, being tortured, never having their day in court. And so if it was legitimate, why then are you not giving them their day in court? Because it's a slam dunk case, right? Why are we never hearing from them again? In the age of computer hacking, you can't trust that what whistleblowers claim as an accusation is legitimate. But here in the state of Utah, none of the officers have any clue about how computer technology works. They don't even know how to investigate a crime scene using forensics. They always put out the call through the news, if any of you have any clue as to who did it, please let us know. We have no clue. We don't know how to do it. Our union tells us that we don't need to learn how to find out who committed crimes. We just throw them in jail and torture them until they confess to something. And only the rich people we don't bother to do that with, and we let them get away with their crimes because they can afford a lawyer. But you see that. Those who have a lawyer, their case drags out for years. And so the kinds of people that were there were your Mormons who murdered their wives, returned missionaries, some of them were anyway, not all of them. But they were Mormons, murdered their wives. You know, I don't know about the segregated areas for women who murdered their husbands. But you also have those who were falsely accused, like I was, who were never given a day in court. Many of those others were allowed to confess to anything to get out of there. And so, yeah, they would plead guilty so that they can go free in prison. You have those who are actual criminals, not just murdering their wives or their husbands, maybe, but all different kinds of criminals. Your rapists, your thieves, your murderers. hostage takers. And you get those who are just accused. You also have people who don't speak English. Yeah. They don't speak English. They were thrown in there. They don't bother with a translator. You don't speak English, away you go. Gone. And you got to understand, when you're gone in this black site, your life is erased. My parents threw away my stuff. My mom only salvaged one binder. That's the pictures that I have. It was from that one binder. And then the church had the Deseret News delete all of my comments on articles. And so my rated R comment and my Hubble telescope comment of the Big Bang, gone. And I know about those because the people who commented to my comment, they still remain, as they mentioned me, to show how stupid they are and not knowing the information. Deseret News is okay with letting stupid people remain. I was literally erased. You also have to understand that I also put that I was frustrated that the church can't get their manuals right and the scriptures right, that they're not even bothering to translate the Bible correctly, and put a few examples of how I'm a translator and living prophets of Jesus are not, which means they know exactly who I am, and that's why they tried to erase me, murder me, destroy my life. This is what Mormons don't get. Section 107, verse 91 and 92. That is your Christ, Mormons. And yes, Joseph Smith says, I'm your Christ, Mormons, Messiah ben Joseph. And there will be a future Mormon, Messiah ben David. Him you need to listen to, verse 40 in the second vision, or you're going to be precisely as it stands in our New Testament, on the 9th of Av, 2025, in the religious calendar. This is just so awesome, and nobody's getting it. Nobody, because we're at 48 minutes. Nobody's listening. Nobody cares. Mormons still want to be evil. They don't want to learn. They don't want to accept that they're supposed to be Jewish because they're white supremacist Christian nationalists. Let Jesus prevail. Okay? And there were also those who, like me also, was guilty of not believing that the church was true. Which is not funny, as funny as it is. There were a number of us in there who didn't give full loyalty to the brainwashing of the church and the threats of the church. I saw people who were mentally damaged from drugs. I saw people who were brain damaged, who needed medical doctors. They too were being tortured. Many broke down, couldn't hack it. People who were innocent of any crime, who were just there because they were accused and because of brain damage or because of their naivete, didn't understand what was happening to them, why they were being treated that way, and they broke. And yeah, many of them confessed to whatever they were told to confess to so that they can get out and then go to prison. What is done here in the state of Utah is inhumane. It is so cruel and unusual punishment that even the devil himself, if he were real, would cringe in horror of the consequences of his teachings upon his followers. And so I got out in 2014. It was a miracle. 3 people had to retire, and the third retiree, their replacement, set me free. This was in 2013, in November or December. It's most likely at the beginning of November, before the holiday season, I'm guessing, because it seemed like forever to wait to get out. But because the person was brand new and fresh out of college, everybody panicked. I was supposed to be there forever. Everybody knew I'm supposed to be there forever. I'm never getting out. They treated me as if I was some crazy nutcase, some mentally retarded person who's going to get tardive dyskinesia at any time now, right, Oaks? But because the person was brand new, the people in charge assigned the other person that's been there forever to give their evaluation. But because it's in his department and they're brand new, fresh out of college, into the new job, he can't really say that they were wrong, because that would ruin their whole career now with a black mark right from the get-go. And so, no, he had no choice. There was no choice but to let me go. And that panicked everybody. Even my parents, for some stupid reason, were notified that I'm being released, and they were afraid. He's gonna murder us for what we did to him, but we can't say that we did it to him. There needs to be justice. And so I'm out in February of 2014. And then I'm stuck in limbo for overtime. But I am able to pay attention to the news on occasion. As I would get an apartment downtown that they were able to place me in. And I hear on the news in March that there is going to be a lunar eclipse on the 15th of April. I went, oh, cool. I remember back in 2007 and 2008 that both Faust and Hinckley died under a lunar eclipse. Because my education, I knew about the ancients. I knew that they had a fear of solar eclipses as king. That their life was in jeopardy and the jeopardy of their kingdom was going to fall because of a solar eclipse. So knowing the Egyptians as well, I've been telling you about the eyes of Peter, which are the eyes of Horus. Peter is Egyptian for seer. Right eye for sun, left eye for moon. And so in my position, I'm the only one who knows about the lunar eclipses version. Being told about solar, well, what about lunar? For religion. Nobody knew. They don't actually study their field. What the hell? Nobody figured out how to decipher Paleo-Hebrew, let alone Egyptian. The Rosetta Stone was all they deciphered, and they're applying that to the Egyptian. You can't do that, guys. But nonetheless, so yeah, I walked right in to decipher Paleo-Hebrew and decipher Egyptian, and the learning of the Egyptians and the language of the Egyptians. Not the learning of the Greeks and the language of the Egyptians from the Rosetta Stone, which is how we say the name Horus and Osiris and Set instead of the ancient Egyptian versions, which are pictures, visionary language, seer language. And so, yeah, both Faust and Hinckley were the first two tests that I ran. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, there's going to be a death of an apostle, I'm guessing. I was running the test, because that's what you do as a scientist. It came and went. Okay, whatever. It failed. I ran the test, didn't happen. Not true. Guess I'll become a Christian then. No need to run that test. Because they say it's true, therefore it's true. They say that Jesus is not real, therefore, well, there's no test to run then if he's not real. Church is true. See, those Mormons, that was stupid of them to call Jesus non-Trinitarian. Because now he has to fit the laws of physics. But wait a minute, he's also not real as non-Trinitarian from the first creed of Christianity, so that they can be called Christian. Anyway, and so I would go on to get a computer. I only had $20 on me, as I was on Social Security welfare. You know, I'm a deadbeat. Can't get a job. Terrorist, you say, huh? We have just the job for you. Get the hell out. And I've never been convicted. My life is ruined. And so yes, I'm having to get government benefits to survive. And and so I only had $20 on me this one particular time, when I saw by the elevator a sign for a whole computer system with monitor and a printer, and for $20. Okay. So I went and got a hold of the person and said, yeah, all right, whatever. And I went and checked it out and gave them the $20, and I had myself my computer system, which is in storage because I'm trying to save your lives with these videos. I'm even waiting to change the laundry because this is more important. Even though we could take a break as we're at an hour. But anyway, notice how I'm not being cyber attacked? It's unbelievable. And so I'm starting back up. I know that I need to pretend to be faithful in the church. And so I get my recommend renewed. Even though there was some controversy and some scandal and a close call. The counselor had to be dragged out of his family reunion to do the interview and then said, "Oh, you've been away for years." You probably should have seen the stake president. He's unavailable. That's why they're using you. And then he goes, "Good, Sal. Are your parents Wayne and Judy?" Oh, crap. So that was the close call. Because I'm trying desperately not to let my parents know where I am. My life is in danger before I got in danger. I need to stay hidden from people trying to murder me, trying to hurt me, trying to take away my agency. But yet at the same time, I need a shield and a protection to me against the power of the underwear until I have finished my work on the earth. I need a wife to be protected. As a single guy, I'm vulnerable. But nonetheless, that's for 2015 that we get to talk about that one. And so I then find out in September from the news that another lunar eclipse is going to happen. And I'm going, oh, there's two. Oh, okay, so this is going to be interesting. There's going to be two apostles dying. Nope. Nope. Came and went. And so the rest of the story is going to be for 2015. No! I hate that when a movie ends and it lets you know there's going to be a sequel some years in the future, maybe. We're still waiting for Fast 11 or 12, whatever number they're at now, because it ended with the flooding. Seriously? You couldn't have it end, but then give a sneak peek of a potential for a sequel? Because it was awesome. You had the rolling ball that's going to destroy the Vatican. I'm going, that's supposed to be the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Oh my God. That should be the theme song in the description below. Fast 11 song, or 10 or 11 or 12, whatever number. I've got it on my what's it called, MP3 player to go running with. Haven't listened to it in a while. I'm still listening to the new one I had to purchase online. And so I would come to find out later, because the computer with the internet is all brand new to me after 6 years. And I could go on to talk about again how my dad sabotaged my internet service because of his porn usage of Hotmail that Net Nanny disapproved of. And so because it was a phone connection, I got attacked also by Net Nanny's Mormon Christian punishment for my dad's Hotmail usage. I am not computer technologically smart. If there is nobody around who can help me, I'm doomed. The laptop since last Valentine's Day massacre, still not fixed. And then I got the other one earlier this year, at the beginning of the month, wasn't it? February? Or was it the beginning? Yeah, it was the 1st of February. I am completely vulnerable to attack. You know, I am not Jesus, in case you hadn't caught on. There's no such thing. The enemy is human, and they are evil, and they are the enemy because they commit crimes. And that's why it's so important to understand the concept of Purim, of the Jews. Nonetheless, I would go to find out that both lunar eclipses for religion were on the Jewish holy days of the Exodus, Passover and Sukkot, tabernacles, tents. The first year of the 11 years of the latter days. And the signs in the heavens in the learning of the Jews was letting Mormons know it's begun, Mormons. And because I'm the one involved with this, I'm able to correct the guy who made it popular as just a lunar tetrad. Spoiler alert for 2015. That there is 2 sets of 4 for both lunar and solar eclipses. The solar eclipses were not on Jewish holy days, but the third one was on a new year of the Jews, Nisan, the religious new year. And then all hell breaks loose. Okay? And so before we get to it in 2015, 2014 in December, I am finally approved for compensation for being locked up for 6 years of my life. That's why I'm able to have what I have. And this is only the stuff that was able to remain after the attack in 2022. But nonetheless, I have a dream. I had the Hinckley dream in 2008, while in the dungeon of the Salt Lake County Jail. Denied my rights, for which I had to fake a toothache to get out, and then oops, oh man, now we've got to give him a lawyer, now we've got to set him through the motion, and that's when Shurtleff sealed the case and did the black site thing. I was not conforming and complying. But the Hinckley dream was interesting, but not for this video. But it is 77 and 88, which is 15, 2 sets of 15, both of which are involved in Sukkot and Passover, and for Purim this year. And actually, I think it's, yeah, every year, 15th. Yeah, always involves the 15th. Because the new month corresponds with the new moon. And thus why solar eclipses also occur. So when you have a new moon, with the solar eclipse, or with the sun, the solar eclipse, then you get the one in 2015. But the lunar are always full moons for the 15th. That was Passover and Sukkot, tabernacles, tents. But I have a dream in February. I don't remember the date. I don't know if I've still got the journal entries of those. But in February I have a dream, or in December I have a dream where I'm moving. I had gotten compensation for the 6 years and was looking for another place to live, and that caused panic among the people who were holding me hostage at the apartment downtown, and for which I just barely missed getting that apartment. I think it was the Peter Pan Apartments. And so they found out about it, and then they said, well, they have somebody who places people in apartments. Okay. Again, you got to remember, everybody assumes I'm a terrorist by accusation alone. And so everybody's afraid of me. People are not quite wanting to let me go to live my own life. That's why it was awesome to finally get this place, as the 2 women who failed to keep me hostage got fired. And so they didn't sick my brother on me. But regardless, it's a situation where in the dream I'm going to move. And so at first I'm thinking, oh yeah, I'm trying to find a new place to live, and sure enough I'm in a dream where I'm moving. But I'm well aware of prophecy dreams in my life, and I was signaled it's a prophecy dream, as the number 202 was on the door of the 2nd apartment. And so I'm with the Elders Quorum president from the downtown apartment in the dream, and he's helping me move. And I've got all these boxes, and I have them all piled up in front of my apartment that I assume is my apartment. And it's like an apartment, which is weird, because wow. Anyway, there was an elevator in the apartment also, but I was on the first floor of both. Interesting, because it's a dual prophecy, this apartment and the one in West Valley, both. As 20 is the day, 2 is the month, February, 20th of February. Both apartments, 20th of February. With some exceptions because of it. Because in the dream, after all the boxes are piled up, I then am told, wrong apartment, it's 202, down the hall. So everybody else left. I'm left all by myself to move the boxes to 202. 20th of February, both of which were unavailable for me to move, and thus ended up being the 23rd of February and 24th for the payment. All right. And in both cases, 23rd of February. Fascinating. And so that ends 2014 as we set up for the latter days. All right. So anything else I need to cover? No. Okay. We're done. 1 hour, 14 minutes. Cool.